The Dark Secrets of Stockton, a tale of love, betrayal and poison. 1920, a year filled with mystery and intrigue. On a farm outside of Stockton, an unknown murder takes place, leaving the community in shock. But was it just a coincidence or something more sinister? King Bruce, a wealthy and well-known farmer in the Stockton area in the early 1900s. He was known for helping his neighbors and at times a friend to the friendless, according to the Springfield, Missouri Republican. However, Bruce's reputation would soon be tainted by a scandal. Despite his standing in the community, he was accused of conspiring to murder his wife and another man. The town was shocked by these allegations and could hardly believe that their beacon of light could be capable of such heinous acts. The scandal was a twisted tale of love, deceit and betrayal. How did King Bruce end up the center of a double homicide trial? It started with a woman, the widow Effie Decker. Their lives were intertwined, sharing friends and boundaries. When Decker's husband, Charles Edward, died suddenly, unexpectedly, of an illness the day after Christmas in 1919. Oddly enough, Sally, Bruce's wife, died almost 2 weeks later after Charles. She suffered similar symptoms to Charles. Not long after Sally was laid to rest, Effie moved in with widow Bruce, claiming to be a live-in housekeeper. Bruce's children and spouses pleaded with him not to move Effie into his home. She moved in anyway quite quickly after the funerals of their spouses. Gossip spread quickly on the new living arrangements. To the locals, it was distasteful. Surviving relatives of Charles and Sally determined to explore their suspicions and had their bodies exhumed in March of 1920, once the ground had thawed. A chemical analysis was done on Charles. A large quantity of arsenic poison was found in his system. So Miss Effie Decker was arrested, charged with murder, but bonded out shortly. 2 weeks later, Sally was analysed and her body revealed the same poison. King Bruce went to jail too. Once the news hit, people were angry and they formed a mob. Now they were looking for Bruce. Cedar County Sheriff arrested him and there was a large crowd of locals rallying outside the jail and ready to take justice into their own hands. Bruce was snuck out the back door by the sheriff and was taken to safety in the Vernon County Jail. During all this, Effie Decker's bond was revoked. For her own safety, she was arrested again and remained in the Cedar County Jail. Both arrested and held in May 1920, sat in separate jail cells in order to prevent communication. Witnesses seen Effie as cool, calm and collected during her arrest. But on May 28, 1920, all changed for her, as it was the day of the preliminary hearing. Effie came draped in veils and hiding her face from everyone, according to the Springfield, Missouri Republican. She was extremely nervous during the hearing and at times appeared to be on the verge of hysteria. The look on Bruce's face, he appeared to not know what was going on. He showed no signs of nervousness and appeared to be dumbfounded by the court proceedings, according to the Republican. The charge entered against him. He had no idea how serious this was. As he sat there in court, he appeared to be more of a spectator than a defendant, as prosecutors argued that Charles had died from arsenic poisoning, not food poisoning. Also stated by the prosecutors, Effie had travelled to Springfield twice to obtain arsenic under a false name, according to a pharmacist and a doctor. While Bruce's wife lay ill, prosecutors pointed out he never summoned a doctor. One of King and Sally's sons had came to visit after Sally had been sick for days. She begged him to go get medical help, but once he came back with help, she died within an hour of arriving. King and Effie were bound over on charges. At once, they returned to their shared home after being bonded out of jail. As the trial was being planned, Effie would never face a jury. She passed away on October 28, 1920, in Barton County, Missouri, from some sort of a stomach illness. To a weird surprise, King Bruce was ill as well. In an issue of the Chillicothe Tribune, Bruce was suffering from the same symptoms that killed Effie. Doctors figured he wouldn't make it either. Though Bruce managed to pull through, he faced a jury trial. The courtroom was packed, and he listened to all the allegations and details of circumstantial evidence against him. As witnesses were called one by one to testify, they talked about how Effie disliked her husband and that she bragged about obtaining arsenic. One of Effie's relatives testified that Effie had a signaling system for Bruce, so he would know when it was safe to come by. Described that when Effie draped a white cloth over a rose bush in her yard, it meant Charles was away and Bruce could come visit. Another eyewitness said Effie was given a ring by Bruce. They intended to get married once they both were divorced from their spouses. Also quoted by the witness, Effie said if for some reason they couldn't get divorced, they would run away together. Even though the prosecutors had outrageous testimony of multiple witnesses and proof of arsenic poisoning in both victims, they couldn't prove that King Bruce had a role in the victim's death. After all, Effie was dead and it was her who had the arsenic. The rest was circumstantial. A jury acquitted Bruce of murder on April 1st, 1921. King Bruce denied his guilt at trial, and the cross-examination he endured was grueling. He admitted ignoring his children's request and moving Effie into his home, but his sons testified in their father's defense. According to the Republican, they said their father had always treated their mother with kindness and the home life had been happy. King Bruce was found not guilty and he moved to Jasper County, Missouri. He later remarried a woman named Mary Elizabeth Moore and settled in a town called Oronogo, Missouri. They were both laid to rest in Oronogo Cemetery. Another strange fact about Bruce is he has another burial spot in Weaver Cemetery north of Oronogo. His headstone was finished, but his first name has since been removed from the stone. King's brother George, his wife Emmeline, and their daughter Grace rest together in Weaver Cemetery. Was it initially intended that he would join them? Did he or another change this course? This remains a mystery. Do you think King Bruce was involved in his wife's death? Leave your comments below. Subscribe the channel for more stories of Jasper County. Thanks for watching.